We'll do 5 and we'll like it.
Oh man, you can really tell that you're using that mic because your sound quality is so much more inside my ear. And it's not a sexual thing. It sounds sexual. It's not sexual.
I don't really know how it couldn't be sexual.
I mean, how could it be sexual?
Well, especially after you just took charge like that, I just assumed that you had that
I
on
mean,
the brain.
It does it for me a little bit, but I don't think that's totally important.
I did like the Pokemon blind rankings, by the way, Modai. It inspired me to do mine then and there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was looking at...
I was going to ask, did you try it any other times to see if it was giving you the same pool of Pokemon every time? Because obviously Muck and Grimer changed, but you guys had 4 or 5 that had crossover?
Jolteon, Starmie, Mewtwo, I think Metapod.
Shout out, my guy.
Well, yesterday when I was trying to do it, but I was too fucking stupid to work TikTok and click the filter while recording. So I tried it a few times and I was getting some different Pokemon, but it wasn't there was definitely more than half that I haven't seen.
Does Metapod make Beedrill or Butterfree?
Butterfree.
Got it. What's the other one?
Kakuna.
Kakuna's got the more aggressive look to him, which is why okay. I like Kakuna.
Yellow.
That's the one.
Not that means anything to you.
Doesn't mean a thing to me. What color is Metapod?
Green.
Sure. Yeah, those are different things.
Yeah. You definitely know that.
Many people claim that they are in fact different things. I haven't seen evidence yet.
You sound like you know colors.
Me?
I know they exist.
Oh, Modai, yeah. Yeah, Modai's aware of their existence. He's still trying to explain them to some people.
Yeah.
And you said you did a Naruto one, Modai?
Yeah, I was going to post it after we hung up.
Cool. No, good, sick. I'm into it. All right. You guys ready to do the damn thing?
You rock and roll.
Let's do it.
Are you counting me down or are you Sun Devil? Forks up. All right, we're back. List Night Podcast. My name is Griffin Queen, as always, joined by Andrew Simon, Thomas Albert, and Matt Modai. And I've really got to stop saying as always because we've had multiple episodes in recent weeks where only 3 of the 4 of us have been here. So it's not as always, but it's as sometimes. This week we're doing a draft episode. We're going to be doing events or things. I haven't really followed or figured out a name yet, but I'm going to say events that we wish we had social media for. We did a random number generator before the episode to determine our order. We're going to be doing a snake draft, and it's going to go Andrew, Modai, myself, and then Tom. Tom will then, because it is snaking back, give his second pick. It's going to be me, Modai, Andrew, and it will continue to snake until we all have 5 picks. I think most people understand how a draft works at this point. We're all pretty familiar with both sports and fantasy sports, really more than anything. Before we get into this, any clarifications or anything that you think that we need to jump into that I'm going to forget about until we're halfway through the episode? Because I always forget about this, particularly in draft episodes.
Should we just title it nouns we wish that we had social media to exist for? So just person, place, or thing. Just put no.
That's good. That is good. I would have honestly come up with a different list. I would have put some people on this list. I'd have been oh yeah, Ryan Gosling. I guess I do have social media for Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Not a good example, but
No matter how many times we go over what the topic is, we always seem to run into this issue where we interpret it different ways. I don't know. It feels kind of
we always will. We're always going to interpret it different ways. In terms of what it creates for us list wise. I'm more thinking are there any rule clarifications? Because it is a draft, which this is a difference from our standard lists. We cannot have any of the same picks. So if somebody takes your pick, you cannot pick them. We are actively working to have the best list of the bunch. So I think last episode we had 3 or 4 different crossover picks. That cannot happen this episode.
Much more cutthroat.
You're telling me I want the best list?
I'm telling you want the list that you think. Look,
is
man,
the best.
You draft on whatever basis you want. In the NFL, teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs might draft the best players so that they can have the best product on the field. Whereas, the Chargers might draft a team that they think people are going to talk about a ton during the offseason that is going to completely fail to achieve anything. So maybe that's what you're going to go for. I don't
feel like you just brought up the Super Bowl to kick me while I'm down, and I hate you for it.
didn't bring up the Super Bowl. To be honest with you, I had that thing where you couldn't think of anything. So I literally thought of the 2 NFL teams that I could think of. Funnily enough, neither of them were my own. And then you heard me. I struggled to think of a third team and landed on the Chargers, who I think worked for the analogy, but are not a team that I enjoy thinking about.
Was a weird pull.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah. I do live in California. So, I mean, they are the closest team to me.
What about the Rams?
Could have thought of the Rams. See, that's another team I didn't think of. They play in the same stadium. Let's move past this. I think I don't want everyone to bully me. I want us to bully Thomas's list that are not built to win, which we'll get to.
Last.
Andrew, by all means, get going. If you would like to give us your criteria, you're more than welcome to do so, but you absolutely don't have to.
No, my criteria is to create a winning list just like it is every week. And with the first overall pick in the events that we wish we had social media for, draft or nouns, whatever, I'm gonna take the moon landing in 1969. I feel like this is one that probably everyone thought of. I'd be very curious, like, to see live tweeting about the moon landing. I'd be curious to see how quickly the conspiracy theories started, probably like before it even happened. But even the non-conspiracy theories, like, it just, to me, it would be insane, like, to see that happening live, to watch them, ride around in a dune buggy on the moon, playing golf on the moon, or in the studio where they filmed it. It would just be fun to see.
This is a really good pick. I'm not going to say you took my 1-1 from me, because you didn't. Not that I had 1-1, but you did not take my first pick from me. You have already proven the point of the draft format by taking one of my favorite picks off the board. And I really appreciate that you immediately jumped to the conspiracy theory side of things, because the first sentence I wrote in my notes was, how quick did it devolve into conspiracy theories? How fucking juiced was everybody? The entire country, the entire world all showed up for this. Like, this is a good pick. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of value here. This is probably like one of the most guaranteed 1-1 picks I think we were going to run into.
Yeah, wasn't my 1-1. It was on my list. Very good pick. I mean, the social media would have been ablaze when this happened.
I mean, I had thought about it, and it was one of my backups that I never thought I'd get to use. Here's why I wasn't going to pick it. Everyone already watched it on TV. Like, everyone was already tuned in.
But social media didn't exist for it.
Correct. But
there was still, you're saying there was still like a very public discourse about it.
Yeah. Like, that's the one reason why it was low on my list, where I was like, it was already such an event. I agree with everything you guys said. Like, it would be different with social media today happening, but like, it's not like it happened. Well, it might have happened in a dark room, wasn't proven. But like, it didn't happen in a corner and then you waited months to find out in a newspaper. Like, it was televised.
There was live media at the time.
Yeah.
It just wasn't social.
So like, I agree with everything you said. I just think that it's probably not going to pan out in the long run for you, and probably a draft bust.
I think I'm doing just fine. This is no Kwame Brown.
You had to get a shot on the Wizards after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think you needed to do that to us. You are, in fact, a Wizards fan.
I'm a Wizards fan, but
that's fine. What I wanted to feel today was existential dread. No, man, that's a good pick. And yeah, kind of to Thomas's point, I can see the drawback to it is that this is kind of like the monoculture pick for the immediate pre-internet age, where at least there was sort of like TV, newspaper, public conversations. Like, every single person on earth that had access to any sort of news was talking about it, but they weren't memeing about it.
Yeah, they weren't. That's what I was going to say. There wasn't memes.
They weren't like making GIFs.
It would have been different,
like, of Armstrong or something like that.
It would have definitely been different, and like even more expanding than it was. I'm just saying, for like, why it was so low on my list, which is the superior list, was because of that.
I gotta ask, Andrew, because you are usually a big criteria guy. Was memeability one of your criteria?
Memeability is always my really only criteria.
Well, I feel like the purpose of the purpose of this list was because of like the memeability. I think it came to my mind after the Luka Doncic trade, where like I woke up and scrolling Twitter, which is just a cesspool of death and despair. For one night, one was great with the Luka meme. So that's like the first thing that I thought of was memeability.
Yeah, it like every once in a while there's an event that like makes you feel like social media was 10 years ago, like when
Yeah.
people were just arguing about what color the dress was, or like, more fun than I want to kill everyone who doesn't think like me,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. If there was a list that was going to have memeability as a criteria, you finally have latched on to the one where it is the most perfect, because this is where memes came to originate.
I do have one question before we move on to Matt's pick. Andrew, is there one social media in specifically?
Almost all of these in my head, it's going to be pre-Elon Twitter. That's
Yeah.
So Twitter.
that to me, for me, that's just my personal preference.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is just
I think-
my
I
social
think-
media choice.
Can we almost even establish that this is like golden age social media? Like when social media was across
good.
the board fun and wasn't just
Yeah.
people, I'm sorry, Modi, promoting their gambling company
And their podcasts.
or their
I-
crypto coin or their podcast.
It is social
We
media in
should start a
general.
crypto coin.
Or their
I'm
OnlyFans.
just curious because some of my picks are specific, it's all social media, but this media in particular,
I like that. I like, yeah.
they're just I picked this mainly for this one, but it obviously all social media at this point is combined on some level.
Yeah. I like that you specified that way, though. I'm interested
Yeah.
to see that.
I
Just
did
some
not
of it.
pick that way, but I'm interested in hearing how you did it.
All right. So good pick. I'm able to get my first pick at the 102. I think the live tweets is what I'm thinking for this one. It's the OJ Whiteford Bronco, which I get was a hugely nationally televised thing, but I cannot imagine what Twitter would have been like during that going on live. So that's why my number one pick. It's hard for us to understand how crazy it was at the time. It did some 3 documentaries on it, a 30 for 30 tried to establish that it was happening during a good sports calendar, and anybody cared about was talking about that. So yeah, the OJ Whiteford Bronco police chase, I think would have been just set social media ablaze.
I much like the moon landing. This is one of my backup picks that I figured to get taken anyway. I think it's a very it was going to get taken at some point because much like the moon landing, everyone was tuned in already. But I had thought about it caused so much the trial, I guess in general, and more than the chase. The trial caused so much discourse, so that was kind of a different animal. But the chase was such a, like you said, it had everyone's attention. So I can't imagine what that would have expanded to if people could communicate through 17 different media.
Yeah, and make memes about it.
Yeah.
They do make memes about it. It happened,
They still
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
the majority of our lives ago, and in 2025, they still make memes about it.
There's
It's
still
that
memes.
definitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, car chases in general are kind of crazy to watch. So you take the most famous one of all time in literally the most famous criminal case, at least of an athlete ever. It would be, it would be great. It probably would break all the servers.
Yeah.
Do you guys know, I'm sure, Modi, you know this person. Do you know Worldwide Wob, the
Wow.
NBA Twitter account? He does, I think he's based on the West Coast, but he might just never sleep. He does car chase reaction footage sometimes. He'll tune into an LA news feed or a police chase feed and will commentate over LA car chases with the police. And I just imagine somebody like him during the OJ trial, his career, he never has to do anything ever again.
Yeah.
He has made that one night tens of millions of dollars because it was just the biggest thing, and he would have had so many people tuning in. It was a good pick. It was a good pick.
Yeah,
I didn't think about it at all. I specifically tried to avoid sports things for the most part, and it ended up happening anyways, but I didn't think about OJ.
Yeah. Somehow I missed this one, but great pick.
I thought it would have been thought. To be fair, I did think more of the trial than the chase specifically. But
Well, you're the OJ guy. Everyone knows when you talk about OJ Simpson, you talk
I-
about Thomas Albert.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought,
This was
the
the
moon landing. It'd be thought it would be on everyone's radar.
Yeah, this was the chase, the live streaming of the
Yeah,
chase.
yeah. June 17th,
Yeah.
1994. Yeah, I know.
Yup. Really, really, really big day in your 1-year-old life at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. Good pick. Okay. My first pick for my number one, I did the sinking of the Titanic. And really, I tried to visualize it both from the perspective of, and so I tried to think about just generally pre-internet, but I tried to visualize it from the perspective of the people on the boat as well as the perspective of the people around the world that are hearing about this as it's happening. So everybody like is tuning in, they're hearing about the boat, everyone thinks it's a conspiracy theory. They're like, what the fuck's going on? And then there's people on like Instagram and like, 20-year-old thoughts that are trying to get their OnlyFans launched that are posting like Instagram stories and stuff with like the band playing their last song in the background.
OMG.
Yeah, like there's conspiracy theories on like why'd they leave all the poor people on the boat? Why'd the rich people get off first? And I just went down like a rabbit hole of being like, oh man, this would drive everyone up a wall, and it would probably turn into a saga, kind of like the Luigi killing recently, where it's like very immediately class warfare on everything of social media. And like, I'd love to see it. I feel like it would have been both a good discussion and highly memeable.
This is another one. When I was reminded it was a draft, I wrote down a couple backups. This is another one. And I agree with you from the standpoint of people on the ship, like how that would be. But I feel like off the ship, it'd be a bigger scale, but similar to the exploration submarine. What, 2 years ago now? 1 year, whatever. Like,
yeah. That's a
where it's like people are making these memes of like, look at these fucking idiots dying in the middle of the ocean. But yeah,
don't
like,
drive into an iceberg.
but I think the reactions from people on the ship, one would be like harrowing after the fact. But like, yeah, I had very similar thought process. I'm just finding it weird that you guys keep picking up on backup picks. It makes me nervous.
I do think, Griffin, I think you're right that it would be sort of similar to the Luigi Mangione stuff. And I think people would make T-shirts like for the iceberg and be like, Team Iceberg. And, like...
How many people do you think make it back from the Titanic and immediately launch a podcast? Who immediately starts grifting? Everyone, every single person on it?
Amount of books coming out from those survivors.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, do we think if podcasts were a thing, there'd be just less books in general? Because everyone would start a podcast instead of books?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a low... I mean, even as a direct real-world example, Bill Simmons, noted sports writer and commentator and podcast host, wrote his book of basketball, which he spent years and years and years on, and it's one of the best books about basketball ever. And when he did the follow-up, the book of basketball 2,
podcast.
He made it a really bad podcast because he was like, yeah, I just don't really want to write it. There would be no books after whatever year social media came out if it had come out like 100 years ago.
Yeah, my only comment on this is I'd like to believe that Jack and Rose were real and they're like live tweeting their like love story happening on the Titanic, and then like she's like got her phone out like, oh my god, Jack, like stay with me, and then he's like sinking. Like that's how I'm imagining this going.
But if they're
everyone would be calling him like a cuck and a gooner, and what's the other thing they call guys?
There's a lot of DMs. Words, yeah.
When they're like
simp.
Fully dedicated to like a woman who doesn't care about them.
I said some simp.
Simp?
A simp?
Said like 17 times.
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yes, simp. There would be millions of people calling Jack a simp, as opposed to in the late 90s when the movie came out, everyone was like, yeah,
Romantic.
Leo DiCaprio, greatest guy on earth.
Yeah.
Do we think that if social media was around that and they were real, that they met through Tinder on the ship?
Yeah, there's like a Tinder boat that like
Titanic Tinder.
She kind of went after him a little bit, so it might have been a little bit of a Bumble situation, and then she would have found out towards the end that he'd actually been double dipping on Grindr the entire time.
Yes.
Fair point.
Yeah, you got to sow as many seeds as you can if you're coming out of poverty.
Fair point.
It's true.
I just feel like someone on the ship could like have a banger of a tweet. If they tweet the week before, like, can't wait to go on the ship, hashtag it'll never sink, and then like a picture like of the room filling with water or something, just being like, shit.
Yeah.
See, it would be
Hashtag
tragic.
I was wrong.
It would be tragic. Objectively, it would be tragic. But like, not as tragic as it was before social media.
I don't know if it'd be less tragic.
I would say it'd be less tragic
funny
because
person,
there would be more memes.
I think
hypothetical funny person that I'm talking about survived, just for the record.
not tragic. Not
I don't
tragic.
care if they survive. I'm not committing to what Andrew's committing to. The world
right.
needs fewer funny people.
Good peg. I was worried my first pick was going to get taken, but you guys are all dumb. So I would like to believe that Twitter existed for the 3 days after Jesus' crucifixion, and that while he's in the tomb, he's
Crucifixion?
whatever. I'm not religious. and he's just live tweeting his 3 days in the tomb because he's actually there the whole time alive. Just like, it's really
He's
dark
got
in
a
here.
phone.
Like, I wish someone would come check on me. Like, I can't
Yeah.
move this rock alone.
He's like snapping people throughout.
I'm
He's
actually
It's
live.
only from
Yes.
within the
Yeah, but it's just a black screen because it's so dark in there, and everyone's like, "Man, someone has Jesus's phone," and he's like, "Can someone come move this boulder blocking the way?" So, yeah, that's my pick.
When they open the tomb and he's not there on Easter, is his phone left behind, or does he take his phone with him?
No, that's when they finally look at Find My Friend, and they realize that he's not there.
got
Or
it.
the Snapchat map, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Gotta check the snap map to see where Jesus is.
I mean, that was on my list, but yeah, I would not have described it as well as that. So that was good.
So you're saying that he would just be tweeting things like, "Oh, got myself in a pickle this time."
Yeah, and people would be like, "Man, why did someone hacked his Twitter after he died? Like he just sacrificed himself for us, like our sins, yada yada yada."
Is
And
he
really,
is he upset about what happened prior to being put in the cave? Or is he just like, yo, come get me out?
I think he's like, "Somebody come get me," and everyone's like, "He's dead. Who's tweeting this?" But it's just him in the dark, like, "Hey guys, I did you a big favor. Could someone come help me out?"
I appreciate how apparently not like frantic he is during this period. Hey guys, could you do me a big favor? Everyone thinks I'm dead.
I mean, before
This
social
is
media,
good.
he just waited anyway, so it's
Yeah.
true.
I thought about having this on my list, and then I was like, I've made the Jesus pick way too many times. I need to like fully get away from like big religious icons on my list. But I appreciate that it still ended up happening in the first round because I think it is like a bona fide first round pick. I'm glad we rounded out round one with it.
I thought you were going to say, I need to get away from being a big religious icon, and I was going to have so many questions of what you thought.
Those are your words. Those are not my words. Just, yeah, Jesus, you're right.
This is a fun one. I might lean, and I don't have any Jesus stuff on my list. I'll tell you that right now. But I feel like I would lean more towards the water to wine, or like some like earthly miracle kind of a thing. That would be a fun tweeting fest, like people reaction to that.
I feel like
But I get that this is a big deal.
he would just be one of those people on TikTok that like does fake magic, but it would be real, and everybody would just think he's doing fake. Like, oh Jesus, like literally, oh Jesus,
Yeah.
just another TikTok
This is
influencer
such an
trying to.
offensive assault already.
if he posted like water into wine, everyone would be like, "This is how he edited it. I'm going to
Yeah,
recreate it."
Yeah. No, this is good.
That is true, and you're right, Greg. We're offending a lot of people. But if you had social media in general and went back in time and nobody else had it, people would think you were Jesus, like that you were just, like bending.
If you went back in time and you had social media, no one else had it. It wouldn't be social media.
It'd be a blog.
It would just be you talking to
That's
yourself.
technology,
It'd be a diary.
it's fine.
Sure. Okay. So if you were a time traveler, yes, that would definitely throw people for a loop.
You're right. I'm stupid. Thomas's pick of Jesus's crucifixion is better than I am.
I'm glad we all agree.